One of the things that I that I studied, one of the reasons why I got into studying business is that thought that I would be able to sort of optimize what I'm about and do things such that I can have increased productivity and do various aspects of of life that would add a tremendous amount of value, sort of that scalability aspect of it. And what I've soon realized is that, okay, so there's two things, right? There's going to be absolutely no magic to this, and this is one side of it, that I've actually sort of looked at all these kind of things and read, and I understand statistics, I understand like some theory around all this kind of stuff, and ultimately there's really no secrets to any of it. And I'm a little bit disillusioned. I'm often disillusioned in terms of the recommendations that we can give as strategy folks, or as somebody that studies strategy. And even, any field, I'm a little disillusioned whenever you start looking into it. You're like, that's it? That's really all you have to say? So there's one aspect, right? So by the way, if you don't know me, I'm Professor Dave Masek. I'm an Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship, and I created this whole Reciprocity Project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I wanted to pay the favor forward and help you out. Okay. So that's one aspect, is that there is like no magic to any of it. And once you start looking at it, you're like, it's really kind of basic for the most part. Like, really simple things like, save money for a rainy day. Don't bet on very risky things all the time. Bet on some risky things and sort of do it wisely, but don't bet on very risky things all the time. Just like really simple things, and buy assets that are quality. Negotiate whenever you can at the assets that you are sort of acquiring, but not too much. Right, like there's like this is all like super basic, and it doesn't take somebody to study this for 20 years to sort of get a sense of what this is. However, since I've realized this, this is the thing that's kind of interesting, right? Is it's not necessarily the knowledge behind it that is like so tricky in any sort of way, and I think a lot of people could sort of pick up on this kind of stuff. However, it's the fact that people just don't necessarily, A, they're not aware of many of these kind of things, and then B, they don't apply it, and it's really difficult to apply these things. So by me doing some of these things, so in terms of leveraging my impact, for example, right? I started doing the whole Reciprocity Project. That was one way to leverage my impact, was to build this software, and now I'm sort of a social influencer, I guess that's what you might say, but it's really hard. And even when you're in the game of studying these things, there's nobody else is doing this. Nobody. Like literally, I'm the only one that's doing this. And yet, like if you were to look at some of this stuff, if you were to look at broadly any literature you look into, it would say that this is probably a good thing, right? If you just go to basic marketing 101 stuff to market some of your stuff or market your ideas, but it's not necessarily, you don't want to market it, right? Like as you might think, or go like push heavy sales, but just carry on conversations because it does pop up, right? There's like simple things like that. And the curious thing is that we've got access to at our fingertips to this unbelievable resource. The so-called internet, right? And yet we don't do it and we don't use it. And so that is like one thing that is severely limiting, people's impact and, being part of the discussion and things like that. So it's a really weird predicament, to be honest, as I sort of think about this, is that even though you might study it, you might understand all this kind of stuff, we still choose not to do it, right? It's like one of the who was it? It was Thaler and Sunstein's book, which was really interesting. The whole nudge book, and it's been a few years since I was in that literature, but I'm kind of in and out of it. Decision-making literature, but one sort of anecdotal thing was looking at, I think it was the University of Chicago, and here's these genius, folks that focus on finance, like super well known for finance and all sorts of different things, and yet it's incredibly hard to get them to put money in their 401k. The 403b is the version of the educational version of the 401k. You're like, what is this? What's going on? Well, we're human beings, right? At the ultimately end of the day, a lot of this is human being stuff. Speaking openly, and being kind of like the laughing stock of, academia, as this is, right? Like being on a podcast and being kind of a weirdo. People do sort of think of you as a weirdo, right? Like, oh, that is a weird thing. And, either they're going to be like, oh, he kind of gets it, but I would never do that. I feel really nervous with that. Or B, this guy's a weirdo. What the heck does he know? Or C, he's a complete charlatan. And all of those things are probably true, right? There's some truth to all of those things. So what you need to get down to and be okay with is sort of picking your own path. And we can sort of choose those paths and what that actually might look like. But personally, I think that by doing this and eventually getting scale, maybe it'll get scale, maybe it won't. But whatever, right? You try to get there. And if I'm just going to try to get there, I think this is kind of fun. Some people are going to benefit it. I'm hoping that there's this one rando person in the middle of the interwebs someplace that pays attention to this and it gets them out of a bind, right? That's the way I view it, is that all it takes is one rando on the internet that's going to watch this and they're going to be like, or they're going to pay attention to this and listen to it and say, hey, you know what? I'm not all that weird. And that's okay. That's good. That is good. And I think that is my ultimate goal with this. To give people, a voice, give people some, a legitimate person that's trying, not succeeding, but trying to be an academic, pretending, all of that kind of stuff, and you get to listen in. So, thanks so much for following along. And, we don't know as much as we think we know, but we know a lot. And that's the interesting conundrum, right? We know so much about things, but when we figure it out, it's like, well, duh, it's pretty obvious and pretty simple. But that's good. That's a good thing. That means it's good theory, it's good ideas, we're making progress. So it should be easy, should be obvious, and should be something that nobody else thought about. And that's a good thing. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.